Hi, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I'm glad you're back with me today, and I hope you've been enjoying these DJ Dylan stories. I love them. Of course, we're still reading out of this story, Ghost Dog of Stony Ridge. Now, yesterday, DJ and Alfred's dog, well, it's DJ's dog, got away from him and crossed over the barbed wire fence. That's where they were not wanting to go at all because they had been threatened there. But they had to get Hero. They had to get Hero. And so they went running to get him when they heard a click sound, a metal sound that made them think somebody was loading a gun. So they began running as fast as they could to get back through that fence on the other side, but they didn't know if they were going to make it. So let's see what happens. We're on chapter 10. Oops, there goes my clock. Okay, a clue to danger. The motorcycle was gaining fast. DJ recognized the sound as a small off-track type cycle. It was made to travel over rough ground. The motor was terrifying, roaring closer and closer with a menacing sound. Menacing is like threatening sound. Under the canopy of huge evergreens that towered as high as a 20-story building, the motorcycle's single headlight made the boys' racing shadows look like giants running. DJ glanced back. Alfred was falling behind. His thick glasses had fallen off one ear. The lenses bounced under his nose as he stumbled forward, trying not to fall. But his open, gasping mouth showed that Alfred had run as far and fast as he could. Suddenly, DJ had an idea. He yelled over his shoulder, "Cut to the right! The right! I'll go to the left. Dodge behind those trees. Try to get to the fence. You understand? Now!" The boys turned sharply. The motorcycle headlight wavered from side to side as the rider briefly tried to keep both boys in sight. In a second, the decision was made, for DJ saw the light steady on him. He heard the motorcycle accelerate, go faster. "Good," DJ managed to mutter as he panted along. "Now, if I can make it to that big tree over there." It seemed to take an agonizing moments to race to the tree. As DJ seemed about to pass, he suddenly reached out with his right hand and caught the rough bark. It tore his fingers, but he held on enough to let his momentum swing him around the tree. In a second, he was behind it, panting fast. The cyclist roared past. There was a squeal as the brakes were applied hard. Dirt and pine needles shot up, engulfing the cyclist and filling the stopped headlight glare with a swirling mass of dust. The light moved around, searching for the tree. The motor accelerated and the bike came hurling back towards DJ. DJ had collapsed against the great tree trunk to catch his breath. Now he gripped his flashlight and poised himself to hurl it through it. But where should he aim? The headlight? Where the driver should be? Into the wheels? He remembered what had happened to Kathy's bike and made up his mind. But as the motorcycle thundered towards him, the dancing headlight showed DJ a long curved thing partially hanging in the tree's shadow. The boy's first reaction was, "Snake!" He instantly snapped his flashlight and heaved a sigh of relief. It was a dry limb that had fallen. Whew! DJ bent quickly and scooped up the limb. It was about 3 inches in diameter, about this wide, and maybe 4 feet long. There was just time to shift the light to his left hand and the branch to his right. Then the cycle was upon him. DJ deliberately showed himself, crouching so he appeared to be about to bolt to the right. The headlights swung to follow. Immediately, DJ reversed himself and took 2 fast steps to the left out of the headlight. It swerved to follow him. Again, the boy dodged back behind the tree. But now the cycle was too close to the tree. The brakes squealed again. The cycle rocked and then went into a slight skid. As the motorcycle skid past DJ, he threw back his right arm. He judged the distance and threw the stick hard. He didn't wait to see the results. DJ sprinted away from that tree, away from the cyclist. The boy turned on his flashlight and ran frantically. Behind him, he heard the motorcycle skid and go down. DJ heard the cycle hit the tree with a sound of breaking glass. The single headlight went out. Someone began yelling. For a second, DJ was running so hard for the fence, he couldn't be sure of either the words or the voice. Then he cocked his head to make sure. DJ stopped running. He smiled to himself as he recognized Ormley's voice behind him at the motorcycle wreck. Couldn't have happened to a more disturbing guy, DJ said aloud, still heading to the fence. Alfred had the wires spread apart with his feet and hands. DJ slid through easily and stood up, grinning triumphantly. There were loud shouts and threats from the dark shadows by the big tree. Alfred said thoughtfully, "That's Ormley. I recognize his voice." "So do I," DJ said with satisfaction. He took his friend's arm and turned, Alfred toward the lake and their camp. By the time they got there, they had made some decisions. The boys would break camp and leave right away because it would be safer. "What about Hero?" Alfred asked. "I hate to leave him, but he apparently got through the fence okay. Probably went right on through the other side, so he's safe, I think." "You mean he'll find his way home by himself?" "Sure. Dad told me that when he hunted, he sometimes had to go home and leave a hound or 2 behind because they were too far away to hear him call it when he called them in. Yet they always came back. Sometimes he'd leave his coat or something and the hounds would come in and eventually stay by the coat until he came back for them. Or if the hounds knew the area because it was close to home, they'd go right to the house. Hero knows this area real well, so you think he'll go home?" "I'm sure of it. Be there by morning, I'd say." "But those hounds your father mentioned must have all been running loose with only a collar, not dragging a chain. So what happens if Chain's Hero gets tangled on something?" "In that case, he'll howl. And somebody would probably turn him loose, unsnap the chain from his collar. He'd come home without his chain, but if he doesn't come in by himself, we'll have to go looking. Yet I'm not really worried. That dog can take care of himself." "I know," Alfred chuckled. "Hey, you notice that ghost dog quit baying? So that means he's probably gone to wherever he goes to hide, unless he's tangled with the bear." "They didn't have a fight," DJ assured his friend. "Hear those horns? Hunters are calling in their hounds. If the ghost dog had caught up to the bear, they would have heard a fight. They'd all be going towards it or already be there. But those hunters are still scattered. Hear them blowing on those cow horns? That's when they get a cow's horn that had been cut off, and they make a little hole at the small end and can blow, woo, woo, and that calls in the dogs." Alfred was a little relieved. Maybe the bear just gave that ghost dog the slip. Or maybe that hound just likes to trail and bay, but he doesn't like to fight. Or maybe he's too smart to let himself get too close to a bear when he's all by himself. Brother Paul says some hounds like the chase. Same as some people. They like running after the hounds, but they don't like killing the game. Like you and me, Alfred said. Like us. Maybe that ghost hound is like us. Since nobody else was in the campground, the boys broke camp. They decided they'd be safer at home, especially if Ormley came looking for them. They hoisted their backpacks and started hiking towards Stony Ridge. It was easy going in the moonlight. I don't ever want to be as scared as I was when that cyclist was after us, Alfred said, as he came to a wider section of the trail where he could walk beside DJ. Not ever. Me either. But at least we have some evidence about where the chemicals are coming from that are polluting the lake. Yeah, but what good is that? We didn't bring the container with us. We're lucky we brought us out, let alone that fiber drum. Thank God we're okay. From the sound of him, Ormley's okay except for his motorcycle. It doesn't really matter about the container. We can report what we found. The deputies can get a search warrant and maybe find evidence to end that polluting. I don't know, Alfred. We might be in trouble for trespassing. Ormley's uncle's a mighty powerful man in this county. He's not the richest, he's the meanest. He might have us arrested for assaulting Ormley or destroying his property. You're just full of good news tonight, DJ Dillon. Alfred spoke with mock sarcasm. If we can't report what we found, what can we do? We need evidence that's so strong it'd stand up in court, yet can't be used against us, such as catching them in the act of polluting the lake. You're joking. No, I'm not. It's the best way, next to getting a confession, of course. Catching them would be the most dangerous thing we could do. Right now, it's only our word against Ormley's. So far, everyone seems to think the mill's guilty of poisoning the lake. Those two campers we met tonight aren't around to be witnesses. All the state and federal people are going to find is a bunch of dead fish in the lake. Those two campers will back us up. They said they were traveling through. Besides, we can't prove the empty containers we found were used to kill those fish. You're making this sound worse and worse, DJ. I'm just looking at the facts. To stop the polluting before someone gets sick and dies, we've got to prove that it's not the mill, but Ormley and that Fogley guy who are doing it. Well, I already told you I've been scared enough for one lifetime. All I want to now is to find that ghost dog. And I want to have a story so strong that it'll be enough to win that national prize. I can't quit now, Alfred, especially with time running out. I guess I can't let you do it alone. That's the spirit. But not because you wouldn't like to do it by yourself. So, if you help me catch the ghostly bugler, his voice trailed off. DJ slapped his friend on the backpack. We'll both get what we want. You wait and see. Not if that Ormley and that bearded guy can help it. It'll all work out. Now, let's save our breath for... Oh no. Listen. The boys froze where they were. They heard the strange sound on the trail where they'd come from. Alfred gulped and whispered, It's Ormley. He's coming after us on foot. Doesn't sound like a person, DJ whispered back. He kept his head turned so he could hear better. More like something dragon. Some kind of wild creature? Come on, DJ, let's get out of here. Wait a minute. The boy flashed his light back along the trail. It vanished around a curve. Nothing that's there, Alfred said softly. But I hear something. Look. A pair of animal eyes suddenly reflected in the boy's flashlights. It's coming straight for us, Alfred yelled. It may be a rabbit animal. Run, DJ, run! Well, that's the end of chapter 10. I hope it's not a rabbit animal. Do you know what a rabbit animal? That's one that has rabies. And rabies is a disease that can kill you. They have shots now that you can get if you get bit by something that has rabies, like bats carry it, and some other wild animals. A dog can carry it. So a coyote or wolf could carry it. I think foxes. But if you get bit and that animal has rabies, you get a shot there in your stomach. And that can keep you from getting that disease because it's an awful disease. So I hope it's not a rabbit animal that's after them. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed today's chapter. And if you notice, it's lighter in my room. I didn't even need the light on my stand. So I just want to say I love you. I really do. But more importantly, God loves you, and He always will. So if you like these stories, please tell your friends about it. Ask your parents to share it with some of their friends that have young people that like it. In fact, I even have some grown-ups that are following along with these stories because they're so interesting. I'm glad DJ and Alfred have each other for a best friend. Having a best friend is so nice. So, anyhow, you have a good day or night, depending what time you're watching this. And I want to let you know, I'll be back again tomorrow to read the very next chapter. Okay, bye-bye.